G'day everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. So the time has come for me to do my mid-season All-Australian side for 2024. Now this video isn't like a prediction on what I think the team will be come the season's end. It's just simply a video containing on what I think are my personal All-Australian side from the first 13 rounds this season. As always when making this video, there are a number of players stiff to not make my team. It is very hard at the end of the day to only fit in 22 players, but here is my mid-season All-Australian side for 2024. Okay, so let's start off with the backs. We'll go over the two back pockets and the full back. So I'm going to be going with Luke Ryan, Sam Collins and Nick Blakey. So yes, I understand Luke Ryan is a pretty big seagull. He gets a high amount of marks because how Fremantle play. They like the backwards kicking. They like the ball in this guy's hands of Luke Ryan, but geez, he's a lovely kick coming out of the D50. He loves to pinpoint targets on the run. He kicks long to contests, and also he's just a general back there for Fremantle, and he'd be the most ideal third tall defender for any side. And he always shows an absolute huge amount of composure when he does have ball in hand, and high up there I think he's #1 in the competition for defenders for meters gained and also effective kicks. So he makes a spot in my side in the back pocket. And then we've got Sam Collins from the Gold Coast Suns. Now this one is a very personal selection. Really a player that's really under the radar this year, but having a look at his numbers, he is a very hard player to beat one-on-one. He is a top 5 defender in the league for one-on-one contests. Also for intercept possessions, I think he's like in the top 3 too. He's been a wall this year, and just simply you've got to watch this guy play to notice how good he's been this year. He's waxed off alongside Macca, 𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐹 so well, and it is hard to go past Nick Blakey when talking about all Australian teams. He's been an absolute beast for the Swannies this year. His kicking out of the fence has been sublime. Just aerially, he is so hard to beat. He can just always jump for those jump balls. His vertical leap is outstanding, and we all know his rebound from defence can really cut apart teams. So on the attack, he is great, but also back the flight and jumping up in the marking contest, he can always make a huge impact, Nick Blakey. And now for the halfback line, I'm going with Jordan Clark, Harris Andrews, and Max Holmes. So Jordan Clark is a hard player to go past when talking about all Australian teams. High up there for meters gained this year. Just a massive breakout year he's having. He loves to take the game on, gets a stack of it with how Fremantle build up the play, and they always want the ball in this guy's hands when going forward of centre. A very aggressive user when coming out of the D50 for the Dockers. Having a great year, Jordan Clark. And then Harris Andrews for centre half back from the Brisbane Lions. Now, I am aware the Lions not having the greatest season so far in 2024, but just watching him week in, week out, he has been outstanding. He just still commands that back 50. He still grabs all those intercept marks. He's #1 in the competition for intercept marks. He's composed, just rips it out of the air of marking contests so well. He's a brick wall back there, and I still don't understand how he didn't make the All-Australian last year. You can make up your mind about many different key defenders for your All-Australian team, but for me personally, I love watching Harris Andrews week in, week out. He just gets it done, and some of his intercept marking plays are just through the roof. So he makes a spot in the team. And then for the final halfback flanker, do have Max Holmes from Geelong. I think this is a pretty obvious one, really. Positional change this year to halfback. He has been playing midfield the last few weeks, but he still has played enough halfback to be put on the halfback flank. Just been ultra consistent this year. Isn't really a high position getter. Like, he doesn't usually get over 30 disposals every single game, but he's just effective with it. And he's a smart user too. His work rate is magnificent. He's been a really, really good player for Geelong this year, Max Holmes. Okay, now moving on to the centre line. So going with the 2 wingers here and a centreman. So pretty much one of them being an on-baller. I'm going with Errol Goulden, Caleb Strong and Zach Merritt. Now I am aware Zach Merritt is not a winger, but as I always say with these videos, I like to play players in the positions they've played only if it's actually possible to put them there. Like, I can't really put a Dan Brosey or a Jeremy Sharp. I know they play in the wing and they've been very good, but they're not all Australian calibers. So going with a more outside type of Merritt here on the wing. But we start first with Errol Goulden. I mean, this one is a no-brainer, really. He hasn't shown the highest amount of influence probably from the back half of 2023, given that the Swans have had far more contributors, unlike last year. Like Heaney and Warner are now starting to hold a lot more influence in that midfield for the Swans. But geez, he's still top 3 in score involvement. Errol Goulden this year, he's been awesome. We all know, a great user by foot. Work rate is outstanding, and he is pushing for 100% time on ground. And a goal kicker, of course. So, no-brainer there. And same with this guy, Caleb Strong. Got to be having this guy in your All-Australian side. I'd say he's the best ground level player in and under in the competition. I know Clayton Oliver a few years back, I love him with his inside work, but Strong's now starting to take that. You watch this guy and just his quick hands he has in congestion is... it's just great to see. He's a joy to watch, and I wish the Swannies did take him a few years ago in that draft. But yeah, having a great year for Freo. And as I said before, yes, I know Zach Merritt isn't a winger, but he is always a bit more of an outside type, high up there for uncontested possessions for a midfielder this year. So I'll just stick him on the wing. But yeah, first few games of the season was outstanding. Had a little bit of a came down a little bit of a fraction in the middle part of the first half of the season, but still has been very consistent and playing good footy. Pushing up the ground for marks and forward of centre, his kicking can really hit out some targets. And then for the followers now, going to be going with Max Gawn, 𝐼𝐴𝐸 𝐞𝐻𝐪 and Nick Dacos. So the ruck position, yes, you can make your debates for Brodie Grundy and maybe Tristan Xerri, but let's be real here, it's Max Gawn. No ifs, no buts. If this guy is at the peak of his powers or playing just outstanding footy, you can't go past Max Gawn. He's been unbelievable this year. And even when he's played in ordinary games, his stat line and still his influence has been very good. Yeah, just putting together a brilliant year. You always watch this guy and his hit-out work, you still think, wow, he just taps it always into correct areas. His intercept marking for ruckman is some of the best in the comp. I think 𝐼𝐴𝐸 𝐞𝐻𝐪 can definitely roll for him for that department. But just ticks the box really of an elite ruckman. Can play as the fourth midfielder too. Can always float forward and kick a couple goals as well. Gawny, got to be going with him. Hard to go past anyone else really with this guy at the top of his game. And then 𝐼𝐴𝐸 𝐞𝐻𝐪, I'd say probably the best player in the competition in the first half of the season. Leading the coaches' votes. His work rate is outstanding, moving from contest to contest. He's built like a centre-half forward too, so he's always dangerous overhead. He outruns his direct opponent too because of his brilliant work rate. And he always is just such a clean user of the footy too. Rarely wastes a possession, always likes to cut off his kicks really nicely and in congestion. A clean player too, so 𝐞𝐻𝐪, the first-on baller. And then Nick Dacos for the Collingwood Footy Club, putting together a fantastic 2024, backing up from his almost Brownlow campaign. Definitely on track to potentially pick up his first Brownlow this season. We all know about Dacos at his absolute best. I think the last few weeks with the go-in Mitchell at it, it's actually sort of helped him from an individual point of view because now he's the guy leading that Pies clearance and stoppage game. Just reads the hit out so well. He's a smooth mover in traffic, a clean play at ground level too. His awareness is outstanding too, and is an absolute no-brainer to have in the All-Australian side. So now moving on to the half-forward line, I'm going to be going with Christian Petrarca, Charlie Curnow, and Marcus Bontempelli. Now, all the best to Petrarca with his recovery, with those broken ribs. Geez, it was a brutal injury, and I still don't understand why he went back out on the park. He did look really bad and grimacing in pain too. I think like a ruptured spleen or something like that as well. But from the first half of the season, I'm still putting him in the side because he has been one of the best half forwards mid/forwards in the competition. High up there for score involvements. He has had some down games, but that sort of cancels out with some of the games he's had when he's been up and about, like that game against Carlton. He goes forward, kicks 4 or 5 goals, carries the team on his back, and always when you watch this guy play, every disposal is impactful, and he's always up there for the play ratings too. Yeah, just a score involvement's beast, this guy, and all the best to him with his recovery. But I think he can probably write his chances off now for an All-Australian Blazer, given his season potentially could be done, who knows. But yeah, just a horror injury it was. And the for centre half forward, Charlie Curnow, currently leading the Coleman at the moment. Yeah, just not really much else to say. We say always the positives about Charlie Curnow every single year. A beast up the ground, so aggressive in the air when going and when flying for marks. A hard player to defend in the air most of the time too. And his field kicking is sublime, can hit up targets. And you know when he peels off and plays on, it's going right through the big stick. So yeah, having another really solid year, Charlie Curnow. And Marcus Bontempelli, I mean, you don't really have to watch this guy play and you can just still stick him in your team knowing that he is a shoo-in for the All-Australian. It's Marcus Bontempelli. He's a superstar. Coming out of the midfield, hits targets so well. Always a hard player to tackle too, and just a smooth mover, this guy. And he's played a lot of forward this year, so he definitely does warrant a spot at half forward. A goal-kicking midfielder. personified, 𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐼𝐴 𝐵𝗡𝐿𝐼. And now for the forward pockets and the full forward, I'm going with Tyson Stengel, Ben King, and Isaac Rankine. Well, Tyson Stengel, he's proven me wrong. Heading into this year, I thought he'd be another solid contributor to Geelong this year, but I didn't feel like he could go to All Australian heights like he did in 2022. He's proven me wrong. He's the highest goal scorer for a small forward so far this year, and how about his effort against the Swans? I know it's recency bias, but that dribbler from the boundary was just beautiful. But he's just a solid player. He's unselfish, but then when he has ball in hands, when he has the ball in his mitts, he always makes the right decisions. He's a really neat goal kicker. He's a clean player, and already has 27 goals for the season as a small forward, so he definitely fits the criteria in this side. And then Ben King has to be in here, given that he is tying Charlie Curnow at the moment for the Coleman with 38 goals. He's always a bit of an enigma, Ben King, because you watch him play and you feel like he hasn't been that dominant, but then he still kicks 3 goals every single week, pretty much. He's a smart player, I think, when going up in the air for marking contests. He always positions himself really well in the drop zone in marking contests, and a really good set shot too. So yeah, Ben King having a really solid year for the Suns. And then yeah, the final forward pocket, going to be going with Isaac Rankine here. He's been playing a lot more midfield this season for the Crows, but still his output has been sublime. When he has been able to run through the midfield, he's been able to win a few clearances, and just forward to centre provides so much damage for the Crows. Brilliant player to watch below the knees, and always one of those players that is hard to tackle. And now for the final 4 positions in my All-Australian side, whacking them on the bench, I'm going with Chad Warner, Dylan Moore, Jake Waterman, and Patrick Cripps. So starting off with Chad Warner, the reason I've got him in is because he's top 3 in scoring involvements, and also he's the highest goal-scoring midfielder in the competition so far with 21 goals, averaging 1.8 a game. It's just amazing what this guy can do, though. When he breaks free of congestion, always loves to take the game on. He's a treat to watch. Very lucky to watch him as a Swan supporter too. Still think his inside midfield craft is somewhat average, but just how he's able to become an elite player is when he is the receiver, not really an extractor in that Swans midfield. That's the best way to always think about Chad Warner. But when he receives the ball, he never wants to just waste possession. He always wants to see the opponent in front of his eyes, try and take him on, go with a stiff arm, whack along from 50, and it's right through the big sticks, and can also high fly for marks too. Strong player overhead. Yeah, he's been excellent this year, Chad Warner, for the Swannies. Score involvement's king. And then next player, Dylan Moore from the Hawks. So the only Hawks player in the All-Australian side, in my opinion. But yeah, having a really good year. He has been a little bit up and down, but he has started to get a lot more centre bounces the last 2 months or so, and he's bounced back from his glandular fever extremely well. He is also a fan favourite of mine. Love watching this guy play. His work rate is extraordinary. He's always able to push the contest so well, and one of the more smarter users in the competition. Always positions himself well when he's providing an option in the forward 50, and can also hit out some targets very nicely too. Averaging around 18 disposals and 1.6 goals a game as of half forward is very good numbers. So Dylan Moore makes the spot in my team. And then Jake Waterman from the West Coast Eagles, one of the comeback players of the year type of stories, this guy. How about this? He's come back from, I think it was a stomach concern, and questions were raised of would he ever play AFL football again. And he has come out, and he is currently sitting top 5 in the Coleman, and he's one of the highest coaches votes, highest key forwards for coaches votes. He's been extraordinary in some games. Him overhead, bloody hell, he's a terrific mark. He has hands like a vice, as Dwayne Russell would say. He's been awesome to watch for the Eagles this year. As I say again, one of the feel-good stories of 2024. And I'm going to be going with Paddy Cripps for my final midfielder spot. Now, this could be really up in the air for many different players. Like I was considering Zach Butters as well, but Patrick Cripps really high up there for the coaches' votes for midfielders. He has had a few okayish games, but then at the same time, he's had some three vote worthy performances this year for the Blues. An inside midfield beast, Paddy Cripps, is sitting very high up there for contested possessions, and I think his leadership has really been able to shine through with a lot of games this year, Cripper. So, yeah, been heavily influential in the Blues midfield in 2024. So, everyone, there is my AFL mid-season All-Australian side for the 2024 season. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. Now, yes, I understand all these videos get pretty debatable, so let me know. Who did I miss out on? Who would you replace if you were building your side? But there's my reasonings I gave for every single player, and justifying why I think they make a spot in the All-Australian side at the midpoint of the season. So hopefully you did enjoy, everybody. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you did go on to enjoy. And until next time, I will talk to you later. See you later, fellas.